Hey, good morning. We all know that the father of modern policing are slave patrols. But did you know that the police force has a brother with a uniform and everything? We'll call him Kyle. We'll talk about him in a minute. But first, the history of policing in the United States got its start in the North as the Night's Watch. It was created to keep white thieves safe from Native Americans who simply wanted their lands back. In the South, the Night's Watch evolved into slave patrols that were used to keep white thieves safe from the Africans they stole, enslaved, and forced to work stolen lands. According to historian Gary Potter, slave patrols served three main functions. 1. To chase down, apprehend, and return black people to enslavement. 2. To provide a form of organized terror to deter slave revolts. That's right, slave patrols and modern policing are forms of state-sponsored terror. That's why Ray Kelly and Michael Bloomberg fought so hard for stop and frisk. They wanted people to think twice before leaving their homes. And 3, to maintain a form of discipline for slave workers who were subject to summary justice outside the law if they violated any plantation rules. This is when Kyle was born. You see, back then, organized policing was violent, and much like they do today, they utilized physical and psychological violence to keep the enslaved in line. Because the primary function of the police is not to protect and serve. They even went to court to prove that. The primary function of the police is to control labor. Yeah, everything they've done since their creation has been to control labor. Which is why I find it funny now that the police are overworked and underpaid, but have spent the majority of their institution preventing people from protesting for better pay. Don't believe me? In Chicago, from 1975 to 1990, nearly 1 million people were arrested for protesting for better pay. If all Walmart workers went on strike right now and protested in front of the Walmart headquarters, who would the police be there to protect? If teachers right now across the country left out of the classroom and went on strike, who would the police be there to protect? It can't be the people they're facing because they're pointing guns at them. And you can't protect somebody if you point a gun at them. Now, even though the police were physically and psychologically violent, there were things legally they couldn't do or shouldn't do, but they did anyway. So those members of the slave patrols who didn't get into organized policing gave birth to Kyle Kevin Kirkpatrick, KKK for short. According to historian Sally Hatton, the history of police work in the South grows out of this early fascination by white patrollers with what black people were doing. That same mentality exists today in 2022. You see, when you're black, you're never really lonely, because there'll always be a white person all up in your... Now, that quote is from a sound currently trending on TikTok, and it shows that white slave patrollers still have a fascination with what's going on with the lives of black people. Around the 1700s, becoming a slave patroller varied from state to state, but it was pretty much all the same thing. White men, rich or poor, landowners or not, were given guns and given authority to question black people at random. They were given the authority to demand that black people show them their papers to prove that they had the authority to be off the plantation. They were even given the authority to barge into black people's homes or to any gatherings of black people and demand to know what's going on. That mentality still exists today. Case in point.
Back up, back up, back up. Back up. Why you, because we black? That's you? What?
Yeah.
Because we black.
Because you jump fit in the neighborhood, that's why. I mean, it's all black.
You see this? You see this?
Listen to me. It's all white people. Pretty much. So if I see somebody that's not...
That's black. If you see
You
somebody
say about black. Let me say.
If you see somebody black, you're gonna question them.
You gonna question them. And you gonna open my door. Let me say this. If I was a crazy dude, if I was crazy, something would have happened to your old ass.
Listen to
No.
me.
You listen to me.
I
Listen
got
to
a
me.
gun. If I was
Listen to
crazy,
me.
I'd shoot you.
Oh, you would shoot me.
Now that happened this week in 2022. Same script, different cast. Now, white men weren't the only ones who were charged with being slave patrollers. In South Carolina, white women were also allowed to become slave patrollers, but they were given the option to have a white man proxy for them. Today, white women use the police as their proxy.
You've been harassing us. It doesn't matter. I want the police to come, and I've been waiting for 2 hours for them.
They're not coming.
This is gold.
Look, you're racist.
This is gold. Like, this is total gold.
Look, you're racist.
They usually call your cell phone when they are here to identify where you are.
That's right. The Karens and Teds of 2022 are the slave patrollers of the 16, 17, and 1800s. Yeah. Slave patrols started in 1704 in South Carolina, and they lasted for 150 years and only ended because of the Civil War. After the Civil War, the slave patrols split into two factions, modern-day policing as we know it, and his brother, the KKK. In Virginia in 1669, the Casual Killing Act made it perfectly legal to kill an enslaved person if they died while resisting your correction. Which is why white women, slave patrollers, and the police would tell you to stop resisting. Because if they killed you while you were resisting arrest, it's perfectly legal, and they see no jail time.